I want to talk about why, how, what caused it. I blame Ghostface, personally.
I
I
blame.
mean,
I mean, honestly, I blame them not giving them enough, or not giving us enough normal MK characters with these two combat packs and the price of Chaos Reigns.
were people
Yeah,
excited for
people were
anybody other
excited
than Noob?
for exactly. It's like all the character. If they didn't do the swap of Sektor and Cyrax, then they at least would have had the three MK characters to hinge it on instead of worrying about what Ghostface, Conan, and T1000 are bringing to the table. You'll at least know that you have your returning MK fans buying that pack. But because you did the swap,
Yep.
Noob was like the only one selling that to core fans.
And the funny thing about it is, when it comes to Sektor and Cyrax, people had been calling for them to be playable for so long. Right? Like,
Right.
people wanted them back. Everybody loves Sektor and Cyrax, even if they're kind of like, I remember Cyrax being one of my favorite as far as character goes in 9, because he's got
Yeah.
that, like, I need to impress Sektor, but I'm really a good guy, kind of. Like, I
Right.
loved him. I thought he was awesome. And instead we got
Uh,
that.
exactly. For
That.
me, it's like you brought them into the game, like for what? Just to change their sex, and then because they're females now, they have to have dudes that they're tied to. So it's
I
like
know!
like
Isn't that a little bit like.
it's weird.
It's
It
weird.
all the females have
Redundant.
dudes that are tied to them. It's like they're all dating a dude
They
from the
can't
cast.
exist on their own. They have to be
Exactly.
tied to somebody else. Like, I don't want to call it
Exactly.
sexist, but it's a little bit sexist.
It is though. But then it's also like we have the original old school palettes for them as cameos, but they don't give us anything even close to that with the actual playable characters. Not to mention, both of them looked amazing in MKX and MK11.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the designs for them really just aren't that good in this
Well,
game.
not only that,
Like,
but they're cookie cutter. They're the exact same design.
exactly. Exactly. It's exactly the same. Instead of them having unique things, like, yeah, Cyrax is more on the grenades and bombs still, but like Sektor basically just has the shield and the gun that she uses. Everything else is basically the exact same, you
Yeah,
know?
and the funny thing is I was definitely calling for more women in the game until we
Mm.
got this, And with all the girls, every single one, even the cameos, every
Yep.
single one is leveled up. Except for Sektor and
And
Cyrax, because I don't give even fucking Farah at this point. But those two, I never cared about getting their gear because it was exactly the same
right, they
and
do have a
hideous.
couple of differences, but like I did level them because I like Sektor and Cyrax as playable characters, but
Right.
like I don't think I finished leveling both of them up, and I just like stopped using them immediately after.
I
It's like
can't even
I have
remember the last time I played them, honestly.
the only ones that I don't have leveled up for the DLC characters is Homelander and Peacemaker. No, actually, it's just Omni Man, Homelander and Omni Man. Like those are the only two that I don't have maxed out as far as like the DLC characters.
Hmm.
So it's like I enjoyed Sector and Cyrax, but not enough to keep playing them or think that it was worth it. You
No.
know?
Was
Well,
anybody
I think,
excited for, what is it, Conan and T1000?
yeah, I was gonna say it. Like, I think that they were trying to use Conan and T1000 because they have the rights, but it's also like an easy grab for people that don't normally play Mortal Kombat. Like you have the casuals, or you have people that are just looking for a game and they come across Mortal Kombat and they see T1000 and Conan and like, oh, I know those characters.
Right, but that's
So,
also a very old reference. Like, what?
exactly. And it's a
Terrifier
very,
3 just came out, right? Like,
I know, right? Art the
it
Clown
was
would have
right
been
there.
like, yeah, right there. But even like the Doom guy thing and like There's a couple other characters that people have been clamoring for since MK11 and MKX, and I get that you want to please those fans,
Right.
but you also have to look at the newer group of fans, the younger kids, and like try to keep everybody happy. You didn't have to go with 3 old school references, you know?
And not only that, they were references that felt reused. With T1000, we had Terminator. With
Yep.
Conan, we had, I mean, basically Kotal. And then also
It's
Terminator.
Arnold.
It's
Yeah,
Arnold.
it's supposed to be Arnold, but it's not Arnold.
Oh my
Like
god.
again, we're getting another Arnold character without Arnold voicing him. So you got Fate Unknown talking about how Chaos Reigns, poor sales, Sektor and Cyrax swap, all that is basically shutting down the game
Mm-hmm.
after the combat pack finishes. But then he also got so fed up with the like backlash that he got from it
Oh
that
no.
he deleted his account.
What?
Fate Unknown has deleted their account.
Okay,
They
so I
they
am
put up a
unfamiliar.
statement. They're the leaker that everybody thinks is an NRS employee
Okay.
for years now. So like they have like almost never been wrong with any of their leaks. You know, so it's like it's people are looking at it like the best source for leaked information for MK because they haven't been wrong.
Okay,
Like
so that
everything
makes
that they
sense.
said,
And that's the
nothing
thing.
to that.
It, to be fair, what we've got with this right now is what we've gotten with every other game, right? Like,
Right.
but
And they
that
said it wasn't going to be like that this time. They said
exactly,
they were
they
going to
said
support it for
specifically.
3 years at
Yep.
least.
And it's
Like
been one. It's been
it's
one.
been a year and like 3 months, dude. And we're already
Months.
talking about the game being over. But you tell us you're gonna like specifically tell us you're gonna support it for at least 3 years. Come on.
Yeah.
All of the other MK games in these like the PS4 and PS5 generation have only gotten like a year and a half worth of actual support. You know, MK11 got a little bit more, but they basically cut
Mm,
off the main support after a year and a half.
this
Like,
is a really good point too. If it is true, how are we ever going to leave NetherRealm Studios again?
yeah, no, if it is true, NRS is doomed.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't put out another combat pack or at least release info on their next game by the end of this combat pack, they're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody will ever either buy their product again or support them the way that they have been.
And the thing
I've been
is
a
I
Mortal Kombat
love
supporter for years, and
years.
I will never buy another one of their game pre-order. And if they drop it after this combat pack, I just probably won't even play anymore. Like I just won't buy the next game.
Well, the thing is I love how Ed Boon teases his audience. Like, I think he's funny about it. I think he's great with fans. Like, I know it went through that whole
Yeah,
thing of him blocking people or whatever.
yeah, he's a troll for sure.
He's an awesome troll. Like, you
Right,
can't believe him. But when he comes out
exactly,
and says at least 3 years, you gotta take his word for it. Like, because that's
right,
probably him underestimating.
exactly. And then he was saying like, "Oh, we've had the idea for our next game, like we know what it's gonna be for the last 3 years now." And then other people took that as like they're already working on the
Right.
game. So they just fed into this more of like, oh, it's definitely done after KP2. For me, I'm like 50-50. Yes, I could definitely see them ending it after this because of the sales, but at the same time, I don't think that that's where it's going, considering MK1 was one of the top selling games of
Yeah.
this year and the last year.
Yeah.
You know, like both
I think
years,
in
it
the
was one
first
of the
couple
top
months it
selling.
sold 4 million. And in Lizardology again says if Injustice 3 is next, it doesn't get the sales compared to Mortal
Exactly.
Kombat. And I love Injustice, don't get me wrong, but it sells half, if that.
Right. Injustice 2 did maybe half of what MK11 did
Yeah.
or MKX. And like that's what I don't get about it is that they really should have taken this game and just kept it as Injustice 3 instead of swapping it over to MK1, because I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
This wasn't Injustice 3.
The
This
clash,
wasn't
the
Injustice 3.
cameo, the way that they took that right out of literally the
Yep.
as much as I hate the turtles, that's where it came from.
Exactly. It's like it moves, it plays, it feels, it looks exactly like Injustice, not MK. You know, like this doesn't play, feel, or look anything like any of the other Mortal Kombat games, but it definitely looks like Injustice to me. You know,
And it's
like
such
even
a
the combos,
shame. Yeah,
it is.
yeah. But it is like I do think like the cameo system fucks some people up a little bit in the beginning. I wouldn't blame that completely because I do feel like the longer you play with cameos, the more you get used to it. And I feel like anybody you can use Serena. Like you can do a 1-2, bring Serena in, 1-2, bring Serena. You know what I mean?
I don't like the cameos, but it's also like I do see the use in them, you know, but it's like for the most part you're gonna get yourself stuck on 1 or 2 or 3 different cameos and just only use those ones, or you're gonna be constantly trying to find new stuff with different characters, and that's fine too. But it's like instead of where they had MK11 where you could choose which specials you wanted and which ones you didn't want,
Yep.
you could customize it. I kind of feel like they did that with the cameos instead of just letting you do it
Individual
with
characters.
your character.
Yeah.
It's like if they had done the cameos right, where this could have been the first MK game that you could have had every MK character in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether
yeah.
they're playable or through cameo,
Yep.
you could have had every single actual MK character in a game for the first time, and you didn't do it. You're not even striving to do it. You know, like
And we didn't get a
because
single cameo with the $50 DLC. At least as of
exactly.
yet. I'm not saying like I
Yeah,
know
we
the
might
leak
get it
said
some
there might
point.
be one, but
Yeah, there might be a couple.
but we didn't get a single one. So the last one we got was Farah. Right?
Exactly.
And
But I
that's
also think that you know, any of the playable characters should have also been cameos and vice versa.
oh, that would have been incredible.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
I do think
I agree.
I
I
do
agree
think
with
a
those
lot of
guys.
it was
I think this was Injustice 3.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I also think a big deal of this was the game feels more cohesive now. This is what it should have felt like when it was put out.
Yeah, we're like a year and 3 months in, and it's just now feeling like a playable game that you're not going to be constantly frustrated at.
And well,
You know?
maybe sometimes still, but you know what I'm saying,
know,
like.
right? Well, there's certain things that are like very intuitive right now with the newer buffs that were very counterintuitive before because they didn't work right, you know?
And it's
like,
frustrating because I'm sure it had a lot to do with them wanting to rush out the game, which in the end also led to its downfall. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the features that we have now, the not invasions, the towers, the ability to go back and look at what you messed up on, the crossplay, the King of the Hill crossplay, those features should have been there at launch.
Yeah, for sure. It's like all those things that you made us like you drip fed throughout a year, and they still don't work right. Like you still can't have private lobbies and rooms and things like that that have been staples in these games for over a decade.
MK11 had.
That's what I'm saying. Like these things that even Injustice 2 had it.
Yes.
Like, MKX had private rooms and lobbies. Like what the? It makes no sense. Like all these things that were like base game, and we just didn't get them. Like we still don't have them when they're base features in other games.